right, joining us now to discuss BTC price and more is Will Peck. He's the head of digital assets at WisdomTree, a $79 billion asset manager. Hi, Will. So just off the bat, what's your outlook on Bitcoin? Are we due for a leg lower?
I can't really compete with the bear flag. I mean, it's really tough out there, but it's tough for all sorts of investable assets right now. I mean, the 60-40 portfolio is down year to date for the first time in a really long time. Obviously, everyone in the crypto markets is feeling the pain there. So long term, we remain kind of bullish and optimistic. Think it makes sense for investors to have an allocation. It's tough to know what's going to happen the next few months. It could be really tough going into earnings season for the rest of the summer.
All right. Well, in May, I want to point out that the SEC asked WisdomTree for further comment on a Bitcoin Spot ETF application you guys have out there. So I wonder, what is the status of that?
I think people are kind of reading the press every day. There isn't any sort of news I can break on this call. Obviously, people have been following that. Grayscale has been suing the SEC. I can't say, we're not planning to join that lawsuit or anything like that. It's certainly an interesting strategy in terms of dealing with a regulator. We're focused on, trying to address their concerns as best as we can. We're optimistic we'll ultimately be able to do that. I can't really comment specifically on the timing of it, but we believe the ETF is a great structure for investors here in the U.S. We think a physical spot ETF makes a lot of sense, but we really just have to engage with the SEC and try and do it in the way that best addresses their concerns.
Well, as you mentioned, yes, Grayscale and Bitwise as well. They've had their spot Bitcoin ETF applications out recently rejected by the SEC. Grayscale is pursuing the matter in court. And actually, we had Catherine Bowling on the show yesterday. She's the CCO of Bitwise. And she said they're considering potential litigation as well. Have a listen.
I don't think it would be counterproductive, and it's not off the table. I know the lore of, suing is there's an angry fight, but this type of litigation is really about answering technical questions. It's less about what people would think of the Hollywood lawsuit and so winners and losers. It's about getting answers to some of the technical questions.
So she actually said that litigation wouldn't be off the table for Bitwise. Are you saying the same thing? Would WisdomTree sue the SEC? Is that effective?
I'm not saying the same thing. I mean, we are not planning to sue the SEC. I'm not going on here and trying to leave our options open. I mean, we have a ton of other business going on. We're an $80 billion asset manager. Bitcoin ETF is only one thing we have with the SEC. We've also got some other digital asset related initiatives kind of working with the SEC on those. So a lawsuit's not really part of our strategy at this point. It's not something we're going to plan to do. And we don't necessarily see it as being constructive in terms of ultimately getting out products that make sense for people on the right time frame.
Right. Well, you also have other Bitcoin futures products or exposure to Bitcoin futures, rather, such as WisdomTree's Enhanced Commodity Strategy Fund and the Managed Futures Strategy ETF. Also want to point out to a response to a tweet on Monday from CoinShares' Milton Demirs, who claimed that BlockFi still holds a ton of GBTC on its balance sheet. BlockFi CEO Zach Prince saying his company directly holds 0 GBTC. He added that there remains a couple of small loans with GBTC as collateral that BlockFi is in the process of winding down. Now the block reports that BlockFi will no longer accept GBTC as collateral. I wonder, is there a loss of confidence in Bitcoin trusts?
Well, I think these OTC traded trusts have huge issues that a lot of people who've been knowledgeable on these products have been pointing out for a while. I mean, there's no necessarily reason why they need to trade close to NAV right now. I mean, you'd only think they would do that if they converted to an ETF, but clearly that's not something that's happening in the imminent future for a GBTC. So I think the discount's near a all-time low today or close to it at 30%. It could get worse. And so I can see some of the issues that this creates. And I'm not saying this through any fault of the people at Grayscale or otherwise, but the kind of the closed-end nature of this structure, not allowing redemptions, kind of locking up the capital, just does create a lot of issues. That's not something that WisdomTree was interested in putting out. We're focused on the best structures, whether that's, ETFs, or you could look at indexes, separately managed accounts, as well as our new direct-to-retail offering, WisdomTree Prime, which will allow kind of investors to access Bitcoin in what we think is a really effective way, avoiding some of these issues. So, I can't really comment specifically on BlockFi's position in GBTC. Clearly some of these lending platforms had issues behind the scenes that we just weren't aware of. And maybe the worsening discount in GBTC was a part of that.
In terms of the products that WisdomTree offers, what kind of volumes are you seeing in interest right now during this downtrend?
I mean, we've seen a ton of interest in some of our fixed income ETFs. That certainly we've got a floating rate ETF that has been gotten a lot of attention that people have been focused on in this environment. We're also in Europe where we do have crypto ETPs. We're seeing a ton of institutional interest in these assets. I mean, the conversations continue. People are seeing this as a good kind of legging in opportunity as they've been entering the space. And I think if you're investing and allocating to this in the right way, it certainly makes sense to continue to do that now, right? Like,
But are you
no one
seeing
should be
lower
shocked.
volumes than just say in, compared to
No,
previous months? No.
no,
Okay.
no, we're not. I think it's been consistent, and not to say that like things move faster when kind of prices are rising, certainly, but we're still seeing a lot of continued engagement there, and you can see that in terms of on-screen volumes and the like.